Thanks for tuning in to GTO Good Old Boys. Buckle up and enjoy the show with your host, Paul Ponder.
Hey guys, we're down here at Waterfront. We're with Mikey Balzz. I'm Paul Ponder. I'm the host of GTO Good Old Boys. And we got Mr. Mikey all the way from Florida down here, up here. And we're going to do something a little different today. Mikey, we were sitting here talking about it before the show started, and he said, we have never figured out how you got started. Well, I don't know what to say about who gets started when, but I told Mikey, he said, I want to do that someday. And I said, well, let's just do it right now.
Yeah, I want to know your story, Paul. I'm always interested. I'm always kind of, enthusiastic and interested in how successful people get to where they get to. And I consider you a successful person.
Well, thank you.
And especially in this industry, when it comes to fishing, like a fun industry, but definitely a cutthroat industry, it's cool to see kind of the pathway you got there. Because I might try to copy some of it. I want to be successful.
I ain't got nothing to copy. I'll give it to you, Mikey. I promise you that. But I'm just thankful that you're here. Thank you.
Well, I always enjoy it, Paul. You're always really welcoming. But let's flip the script on your show. I'm gonna take over the show. That cool, Mike, the producer?
That's cool.
We're good, dude.
Okay.
So we got Jana and we got Paul right here. One thing I've always wondered about, Paul, I moved up here back in, I think it was 2018.
Okay.
And I kind of dropped into GTO some years before that, talking about gambler stuff, getting the free tournament set up.
Right.
And you were behind the gun counter at the OG original GTO. And we met, and actually you kind of blew me off a little because you figured I'm like a bait rep,
I did.
Yeah, dude. You're like, we got baits, bro. Just it's cool.
Sorry about that.
No, but what's interesting though is you went from, you're kind of a blue collar guy, I think. Like you're not coming from
Very
a whole
much
bunch
so.
of money,
No.
Jana. I don't think that's the case either. So you were behind the counter. How do you get from behind the counter, working the gun counter, but as an employee at the store, to where you own basically the entirety, I would say almost, of Gunnersville tackle? Like when people think fishing tackle, they think GTO, they think waterfront, they're getting gas at waterfront. Like what was the path that brought you there?
Well, what it was is I started out with a 36-year career at the utility board in Albertville. It's a municipal utilities board. We had electric, water, sewer, and garbage, and I worked there till I was tired. I was ready to stop, and my wife told me I was either going to get a divorce or retire.
I always knew you were really cutthroat.
And that was her words. So I decided to retire. So at that point, I retired, and so I had to have something to do. So Greg Ray and Audie had Gunnersville Tackle and Outdoors in Gunnersville. So I went down there, and I said every morning, I was an early riser then. Jana lets everybody know I'm not anymore. But then I was an early riser, and I went down there, and I would stay anywhere, until it was time for her to go home. So I'd get there at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I wouldn't be home till 4 o'clock that evening. And I loved it. It was great. I mean, everything I wanted in one was there. Hunting, fishing, the whole 9 yards, people talking. I'm going to turn it over to Jana and let her tell you from this point.
So he went to working part-time,
right,
to working full-time.
Yeah.
I was like, if you're there full-time, why are we not buying it? Why do you not own it? He's like, do you want to own it? I said, I don't know. I said, ask them if they're interested in selling.
Yeah.
So he did, and they were. So I said, well, let me see what we can do. So we bought Gunnersville Tackle April 1st, 2018. This is the day we took over.
Mm-hmm.
That was about the time I met you. That's why I was so ill, because my rear end was drawed up. I didn't know what was going to do.
That's kind of interesting. Are you, so let's make this personal. Are you kind of then the entrepreneur in the relationship, or sort of like the driver of some of those decisions, or like the go-getter, or how do you look at it?
Well, I've always worked as well since I was 16 years old. Before owning Gunnersville Tackle and Outdoor, I worked at Factory Connection corporate office in Gunnersville. I worked there for 16 years. I did their open to buys and in the merchandising area. So I kind of knew the ins and outs a little bit of buying, even though I wasn't a buyer. But we'd went to a couple shows for Greg and Audie because they weren't able to go. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. Something different. So we went and bought and saw what sold of what we bought, because he still just worked part-time. And so we owned it. And I said, well, I'll come in in the evenings on weekends and I'll do the books and stock and kind of learn about tackle myself. So that's what we did till 2020.
Right. Exactly.
And in 2020, we got the opportunity. We got a call on March the 6th, 2020, the first day of the Classic of that year. And they're interested in selling waterfront. They wanted me to ask you if you're interested. I was like, yeah, I'm interested. And I was like, I don't know about all that.
Yeah, that's a big jump, right?
I told them we didn't have the money to buy waterfront.
Well, that's what I don't want to get to. Yes, because that's another loan. That's another, equity,
right.
all that.
That's where we was, and I didn't know what to do, And Chuck Cranford's the one, the realtor that called us.
Yeah, we both know Chuck. He's a mutual friend.
Super guy. And I told Chuck, I said, Chuck, I ain't got the money for waterfront. He said, let's talk. Let's just talk to him. Yeah. I said, let me go home and talk to Jana. Because I don't know. So I went home and I talked to Jana.
And so we bought from Bruce Culpepper, and he was a nice enough guy. He's like, well, let me look and see what we can do. So he actually owner financed it for us. So we come down with a down payment.
Really?
Yes.
And he financed it, so we pay him monthly.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, if it's meant to be, it'll happen. And it happened. So April the 1st, 2020, we bought waterfront.
And life is all about timing too.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, like with COVID, it was a terrible situation. But it's probably the best thing that could have ever happened to you guys, because demand, people fishing, like everything absolutely blew up. So you came in probably underwater to an extent, and then all of a sudden you have this influx of guys from Huntsville, vacationers, everybody coming down.
It was a very strange situation, and so we closed on March 31st. We were sitting closing. I missed a call from my employer. Called back, and they're like, we're shutting down for a month due to COVID. I looked at Paul and I said, okay, now I don't have a job.
So now we are.
So we went back and forth, and I said, well, I got a month to figure it out. Because he had said the whole time, you're going to quit your job. And I was like, I don't know if I can afford to quit my job. That's our insurance. That's our livelihood. That's how we make our monthly payments at home.
Well, and how you get it, I think a lot of times people don't recognize it, because I'm an independent contractor. Like I work for myself. There's all these tertiary things that people, like the healthcare, retirement, things like that. Yeah. All these things that sort of come with a normal job that you never think about. And then all of a sudden, when you kind of go out on your own, you're like, I got to manage this, and then this, and I got to make this like a profitable enterprise. Like there's so many different dimensions that you don't even take into account.
Yep. And so with COVID, as it was a strange situation. I said, okay, we got a month. I don't know anything about gas. I don't know anything about running a deli, a convenience store, but we'll figure it out. And we did.
And it was pretty tight. But we got to go to break, so you're going to close this out.
All right. Well, let's, I think we're halfway through the story. Let's catch the rest on the other end.
Sounds like a winner.
We'll be back with more GTO Good Old Boys after this.
Welcome to Eden's Energy and Protein. We are now open on Saturdays 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sundays 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. until school is out. We offer tea bombs, protein shakes, coffee, shaved ice cream, banana splits, and last but not least, everyone's favorite, the most delicious milkshakes. Come by and see us. Don't miss out on a great sweet treat after a long day on the water. We are located right outside of Waterfront at 6955 Scottsboro Highway. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Eden's Energy and Protein. Thank you, and we hope to see you soon.
Now back to more with GTO Good Old Boys.
Well, since I already bojangled your podcast here, I guess I will continue doing so.
Okay.
So one question that I have, Paul, because I bet you, and Jana, of course, because that's what's cool too. You guys are a team, and that's what I actually really respect about you a lot, because I work alone, but swimsuit girl, as she's known, my partner, like I wouldn't be able to do any of this without her, because she provides a certain level of stability, support. She's there. Like, so one thing that I wonder about, and I think a lot of people wonder, is if you are a person who's interested in getting into a tackle shop, maybe owning a tackle shop, getting into the tackle business, what's a pathway, or what are some key concepts, some basic mission statement kind of level stuff that you'd recommend or highlight for somebody who's looking at going down that path?
What I would say, first of all, is whoever you're going with, if it's your wife, then make sure y'all are friends, first and foremost. The rest of the time, of course, I love her to death, and I wouldn't trade her for nothing, not even $2 million.
What about $3 million?
No, I can't go there. I can't even put a price on it. But she has pushed me so far. There's times I don't have the patience. Find somebody that does have the patience, that has things that you don't have. Put the two together, and then you can help one another. Always get a dose of it first before you jump in head first. Like I did. I worked there. I love the people coming in. I mean, they could come in grumpy, and I still feel good. But 90% of the people that come in here is not grumpy. They're happy. They're fishing.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's a positive atmosphere, and as long as you're around a positive atmosphere, put yourself around good people, the good things are going to happen to you. So what I would say is just make sure you do want to get into that situation, to whereas it's you and you've got deadlines to meet, you've got you've got to say, okay, we're going to sell this because we sold it last year. Let's hope it sells this year. Now, how much we got to buy?
Yeah. Reading the market, reading demand.
And that is so hard.
It is.
To do, because I used to get just all drawn up about it. I'd get plumb out of shape. And then old calmness here would come in and say, Paul, it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be, well, no, it ain't. That. Well, it's things that hadn't even happened yet.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. And so she does until this day do that. Now, that's my aspect, or my key on it, is to know what you do and get a dose of it, see if you're going to like it, and then commit 140%. Commitment is the big deal. You've got to commit to it. We hadn't had a vacation in 6 years. We do get away to go to a show for a couple of nights, and it's just by the time we get through, we give out. Yeah. But it's fun every day to day.
And she's that's actually, I want to note that, because that's something I run into too. Like, we're having fun in what we do, and we're super fortunate to do what we do. But we're having fun 7 days a week. 24/7.
That's right.
That's a lot of fun to have, and actually it kind of turns into work because you can't step away. Like, even though you're enjoying yourself, but that's one of the things that actually drives it, I think, because we're passionate about what we do, passionate to be successful in the business, but there never is a break. No. There's always a customer coming through the door. There's always someone that wants to go fishing that needs a little extra help, and I know you are the king, and you too, Jana, of always going that extra mile, and you can't do that 60-70% of the time. That needs to happen 100% of the time, and that means you're always on call. There is no Sunday evening dinner. There's the work, even though it's fun.
That is, Mikey. You've said it all in a word, and she's the one my hat's off to, because she, on tournament days, is up at 1:30 every morning. When it's not tournament days, it's 2:30 every morning, and we don't go home and lay our head down till 5:30 to 7 every night, and that's 7 days a week, Mike.
Yeah.
And so she busts her tail. She lets me sleep in, and she says I'm retired, and to a point, I guess I am.
Mm-hmm. That's what you're supposed to be doing this time of year.
Okay. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
And what's your feel on it? Where do you feel like we?
I always say the tackle business is not for the faint of hearts.
Yeah.
It is not, because the trends change tremendously, and you have to have the stock in order to sell the stock.
Yep.
If you don't have it, and you come in a couple times and they don't find what they need,
they're not coming back.
They're not coming back.
No.
So you've got to be willing to put yourself out there 100% of the time to make decisions, to buy product, and we try to make sure we have our shelves stocked with the best product. We miss a couple things here and there, but for the most part, I would say, if we don't have it, you don't need it.
Yeah. Well, and you know what you guys do really well, I think, is you're very reachable. Like, you communicate with your customers. Paul, you're great about creating relationships. And I think one of the things that always gets left out with a customer relationship is if they come in and don't see it, and they leave and they do it again, but they never mention anything to you, you can't take action. But you're so good about, like, talking to people and being like, hey, what are you looking for? What do you need? And you can always fill that gap and be like, dude, I'll have it in next week.
And we try our best to do that.
Well, you're always getting the new stuff in. Like, I always notice you're always ahead of the game. Like, what was that? Like, you had that 6th Sense thing in super early, like a week before everybody else got it. So, like, you're always good about getting that cutting edge stuff.
Right. We had to keep our mouth shut about that, and that's what's hard is keeping my mouth shut.
Talk about it.
There's products that you buy into, and they have certain release dates. You can't market it. You can't let anybody see it.
Yep.
That's the confidentiality part of it. Is hey, you buy it, we'll have it, but you can't put it out. You can't release anything about it until this time, this day. Okay, we can do that.
Yeah. Just so we have it. Yeah.
That's it. Because it's a guessing game, and you hope it takes off. We get excited about new products, and some of it takes off, and some of it doesn't. You've got goods, you got the bads, but you've got to roll with it. You can't let one thing get you down.
No, you can't. And you're so spread out, too, that you really have to roll with the punches because not everything's going to work. Like, if you're batting, like, 600, 700, you're successful.
Yes.
Like, and you can't be perfect. So you got to kind of take away what you can.
That's it. And so, we have a lot of avenues and a lot of balls to juggle. And every day you just say, okay, which ball we juggling today? And you just toss them up and see what happens.
We juggling Mikey's balls.
Oh. Let's bleep that out. I guess I got intimate with you guys, and now you're going to send it back my way, dude. So to get back on track, you talked about kind of having almost like mentoring, getting in there, having an experience, figuring out what the shop's like, maybe working in it on like a probationary basis to get a feel, having good communication with your partner, like being able to have a working relationship as well as like an intimate or like a loving marriage relationship. What are some other aspects, maybe like brass tacks? Like you mentioned like owner financing before. What are some of those little sort of tweaks that you've used to be able to even do it coming from, I know you were retired, so you're probably in an okay place, but like not rich. And how do you manage to buy a shop that's not cheap,
Right. We were fortunate with Greg and Audie as well. They were in a position that they said, hey, because basically when we started Gunners for Tackle, we just bought the inventory. We own the content of the building. And they said, we can finance it out for you. As long as you're paying this much per month, we're good. Okay.
Yeah.
We can do that. And Paul's like, are you sure we can do that? Yeah, we can do that.
Move forward.
We can do that. And he's like, Jana, you got to put everything back that we make because the winter months are tough. And I was like, okay, cool. I can do that. And so, put everything back. And I was like a nest, like hovering over my eggs or something, And I was like, I can do this. And so we did, and we made it through our first winter. I was like, okay, we're cool, because winter months, they're horrible.
Yeah.
They're horrible. But you have to be fortunate enough to move forward.
Well, and I think that's what some people don't understand too. In Florida, it's super pronounced. Like your sales cycle is January through like July, and then it goes dead. Here, it's a little more extended. Right. But even when you hit, say, August, September, people are thinking bow hunting. They're thinking deer hunting. And all of a sudden, everybody disappears until maybe the latter half of December. Maybe they're coming in to buy gifts and stuff, but there's definitely like that little window where you have to have enough capital to make it until your sales cycle kicks back in,
Yep, that's it. Because if you don't put back, you're not going to survive.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have to learn how to manage your money and know that come probably about mid-August, you're working on savings.
I hope you're selling sandwiches. Right?
Working on savings, and then you got to put your orders in for your fall orders. Whereas we have to pay for it January, February, March, and April.
The way they do that, where you're buying in those low months, like that is the worst. Like, and especially how ICAST comes out, like the timing of it is so terrible. Like I hate to be that guy, but like for tackle vendors that are trying to make it through the year and play those sales cycles, it is not laid out very well.
Sometimes it's tough, and she takes it better than me, but sometimes during the winter, I'm thinking,
grouch.
Oh yeah,
well, dadgummit, we just spent so much money, and
we have to lock the doors.
Are we gonna get it back?
Yeah,
So that's what it was, and I think it's ready to go to a break now. So when we come back, we're gonna close everything up, and we will see what it's all about.
We'll be back with more GTO Good Old Boys after this.
Welcome to Eden's Energy and Protein. We are now open on Saturdays 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sundays 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. until school is out. We offer T-bombs, protein shakes, coffee, shaved ice cream, banana splits, and last but not least, everyone's favorite, the most delicious milkshakes. Come by and see us. Don't miss out on a great sweet treat after a long day on the water. We are located right outside of Waterfront at 6955 Scottsboro Highway. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Eden's Energy and Protein. Thank you, and we hope to see you soon.
Now back to more with GTO, Good Old Boys.
Well, Paul, I'm going to continue stealing your podcast. You'll probably
right
never
ahead.
let me on here again. And I'm going to dip into something. This is probably a question that I've asked various dealers. You know, I work with Gambler quite a
Yes.
bit, and we'll walk through the door and we'll talk to these dealers. And the thing they never want to talk about, literally, if I mention it, they point at the door and tell me to get out. You know, online sales. Tackle Warehouse, Tackle Direct. There's all these different like online vendors. You're a concrete, brick and mortar store. How do you deal with guys coming in and maybe looking at product and buying it online, or guys that they're online shoppers and maybe they're only drifting here once or twice? Like, what has been your approach to sort of capturing those customers and getting them to convert when they're in the store?
Well, I'm going to start it, and then I'm going to let my wife finish it. What I do is I go up there and tell them how glad we are that they came in the store. If there's anything we can do to help them, then, we'll be glad to. Thank you so much for stopping and just talking with us. And then after that customer goes out and don't buy anything, that's cool. Maybe they'll come back in, and buy a hamburger or something. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then me and Jana gets to talking, and then Jana and my daughter, Eden, gets to talking, and I'm going to turn it over to her.
So, we have tons of customers coming. Well, do you have something we can buy online? When I get back home, I need some apparel and some hats and this and that. Do you have an online option? And our answer for the longest was, no, we currently don't have that, but just give us a call. Here's our card, and we can ship whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
Because you get a lot of, like, there's vacation. You guys got
Yes.
cabins. There's, like, I just talked to a dude out on the floor who's from Atlanta. And, like, he's over here for 4 or 5 days. Like, he's going back to Atlanta. He'll visit from time to time. But, like, he comes through the door once a year and then he's gone,
Right.
Yep. And so we'd fill, just call-in orders. People would call and we'd ship to them. That was cool. And then as we changed point-of-sale systems, when I looked at point-of-sale systems, it was important for me to find something that would feed to an e-commerce site.
Right.
So this year, we finally launched a website, and it's gunnersvilletackle.com. So now we can sell our product on the website. So it's, go there. We're still tweaking some things here and there, but it's every day it's getting a little bit better. The sales are picking up. We sell a lot of our apparel, GTO apparel on it. And, our biggest day we've had is when we introduced the Depth Sakamata shad.
Yeah.
And so we sold out of that, and just stuff like that to draw people to the website so that they know it's there and that we still have the brands, because we have some brands that aren't known everywhere,
Yeah.
that are some.
Well, you got local stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's
Right.
cool with the shop is you have some local jigs, you have like some very custom stuff, and really Alabama is probably one of the fishing capitals of the world, and that leads
Yes.
to a lot of bait makers, a lot of like custom like Ignite swim baits, like
Yes.
things along those lines.
Right. And so we, have those on our website now. So every day it's growing, and every day we get a little bit better at what we're doing with it, as far as the pictures and getting everything listed and the descriptions. We still have some tweaking to do, but we're getting there. So that is, we're trying to get it out there so that if people like what we do and they like what we have, hopefully they'll visit the website and can support us even though they're thousands of miles away.
Yeah, so if they come through the door, like it doesn't end once they're in the store.
Right.
No.
From at home, or if I'm in Huntsville and I don't want to drive down here, like I'll probably get, if you USPS it, it's probably like 2 days to ship to
Right.
me.
If you're in Huntsville, I'll carry it to you. Yeah. I'll get it.
Better
in your
watch
hand.
out. I'm going to take you up on that. So that kind of transitions then into one of the last things. And this is kind of my juice because I do a lot of marketing. I'll work with brands, and it's usually people I have relationships with that I like, or I really like a product or something along those lines. But how How do you guys market the store? On a grassroots level, like you're in the trenches. Like every time somebody comes through the door, you're, hey, how you doing? What's going on? How's fishing? You're always talking to all the high schoolers. I see the videos on Instagram and that.
Exactly.
So in that manner, you're always at the forefront. But what kind of tactics do you use, or what approaches do you use to really market the store, get the name out there, get the branding out there?
Well, what we're trying to do is we've got an idea that we're going to come up with, and I wasn't going to say anything about it, but since you brought it up this way, I'm going to have to open it up. I'm wanting the family scenario, the man and the woman, to be real close. I want the family, because with family and friends, fishing can be fun. I mean, tons of fun.
Yeah.
So I want to put on a tournament here at Waterfront, going out of Waterfront, for couples.
Yeah.
And I want to start it in 2025.
Okay.
I want to get a lot of our vendors that we deal with every day to put a little something in it, and we can give them back more than what they have put in.
Yeah.
And so that's where I want to go with that, and it's in the thinking stages. I can't tell you no more than I just want a couples tournament.
Yeah. Is it an
wife.
annual thing, or is it a monthly thing? How are you
I think I'm
framing it up?
wanting right now, if I don't change my mind, it's going to be 6 months. It's going to be April, May, June, July, August, September.
Best time of the year. Hang out, get a tan, enjoy the weather. Yeah.
Right. And so, it's not in the January, February, freeze your tail off, that sort of thing. So the lady and me, I mean, you can call me a lady or not, but I don't like the heat and I don't like the cold.
Yeah.
And so I'm out there a fair weather man. So I would love to see the couples get in there and have a good time. We do have a couples tournament that comes in here, and you ought to hear them. The ladies don't do it. They just sit back and snicker. But the men, they get on it now.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun, guys. And so if y'all are ever thinking about fishing with your partner, please give us a call and let us know that you're involved. You want to do it, and you want to be a part of it. And so we're going to work out all the kinks and the crevices and try to make it good for everybody.
Well, and that's interesting, too, because I know just on a personal level, so we run the Gambler Free Tournament through you every year, sometime in October, and that.
Great tournament.
I know you guys run the American Bait Works with Walt and that. There's do you guys do the Rattle Trap Tournament
We
here?
do.
Yes, we do.
Rattle Trap, and then Spro, too,
Yes,
right?
we do the Spro.
So these are all kind of components that you're already doing, so you kind of want to expand on that, but something from like the GTO or the Waterfront level.
Yes, exactly. So we can give them something from GTO and something from Waterfront, to whereas they're proud when they come to Waterfront. Maybe it's because we've told them how good they are, or we made them grin.
Give them marriage counseling.
No, I don't know about marriage counseling.
Well, I mean, in a sort of like third-party way.
If you talk to this about marriage counseling, I don't know that I'm still alive. So I've made it rougher on her, and she made it rough. She hasn't made it rough on me, but I've made it rough on her from time to time.
But you guys work
and
good together.
She's hung in, and she's a trooper.
Yeah, but
So.
I think coming back to everything, whether it's customer relationships, whether it's the tournaments, whether it's you guys working, it's all about communication.
It
and
is.
if you're able to kind of step back, communicate, be honest and direct,
Yes.
anything can work.
Yes.
Even you guys.
That's right.
Yep, that's exactly right. Look at us here. So you want to close this out?
Sure. I've had fun. And, to be honest with you, I've always been interested in origin stories, because I think the best way to learn, at least for me, is modeling after someone who's been successful. And I consider both of you guys successful. Your marriage is still working.
That's right.
yes.
You got a successful bait
23
shop.
years and counting.
Yes,
That's a long time.
that's it.
But, you guys have been successful. You've grown. And that's always an indicator of success. You went from owning GTO, now you got Waterfront. So looking at that kind of framework is always sort of just intuitive to me to take something away and maybe implement in what I do. And if anybody's thinking about buying a bait shop or looking at moving in that direction, you guys are a perfect model for it.
Well, thank you so much for the kind words. And, we just want to be successful with the folks that come in. We really love the people. We love everybody that's out there.
I think that's where real success starts, though. It always starts at the ground level. You might not be a millionaire, you might not be super famous, but if you build from those grassroots relationships,
That's right.
you will have an eternal, lifetime of
That's
success and good people around you.
Mikey Balzz, we love you. And we
Thanks,
love
Paul.
you also. So y'all hang in there, and y'all come see us sometimes, and maybe we'll make you feel good. Thank you, Mikey.
Thanks, Paul.